Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it. We'll talk about it inside.
Hey scrappers, Tom here from the iScrap app, and yes, I'm still smiling even with these markets doing what they're doing. But today is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. We are live at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you have any questions for us, whether it's about the tariffs, the prices, anything pricing, scrap metal related, please ask. We're going to get to those questions today or in the coming days with some videos that we're shooting. Before I get into the market report, don't forget, if you like our videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And if you're looking for more information, you can go and become a YouTube member, which gives you early access to all the videos that we push out there to help you make more money with your scrap. So here we are, scrappers. Today's Wednesday the 9th, and wow, what a week it has been since we spoke last. Last Wednesday, we talked about the announcement coming from the tariffs, and then at 4 p.m. Eastern, the tariff announcement came out, and since then, we've seen the market eroding. Just quick numbers. Copper down over 16% week over week. Steel trading prices down 38% week over week. Aluminum down 9% week over week. So when I see some of these markets, and this doesn't talk about nickel prices, which affect stainless, down 17% week over week. So what have we seen? We've seen a market erosion, and that's because of all of the uncertainty because of the tariffs. We see people overreacting, rightfully so, because when you have uncertainty, that's what happens with these markets and these prices. You know, when I look at copper, for instance, copper prices on a 3-month window are even. So if you said to me back in January, right? January 2nd, came back into the office, holidays were great. Tom, 3 months from today, copper prices are going to be the same that they were. During that time, we're going to have an administration change. The first quarter is going to finish, and we're going to go into the second quarter in April, and the prices are going to be the same. I would have signed up for that. I would immediately have signed up for that, because what if I told you for years I like stability in the markets? So the fact that we saw prices go from $4.10 up to $5.30 in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, that tells you that there was something going on. What have we been talking about for the last month? The pricing online versus the pricing that's given to scrap yards, those spreads, let's say they used to be 10 cents, they became 60 or 70 cents. So really the market was following what the pricing should be, but the market pricing out there was different, and that was because the traders were hammering the prices upwards. So here we are 3 months later. The pricing on the markets are exactly where the year started. But it seems so much worse because when you look at the last 5 days, you saw the prices drop down almost 20%, right? So when I look at these things, I don't want to look in just oh, this is what happened in the last 5 days. You need to look at things in these bigger picture windows, right? You know, when you look at the tech bubble burst of 2000, right? Everyone's, oh my God, you know, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Well, the markets came back. When you look at the commodities and the housing problem that we saw in 2008, market completely crapped out. And what happened? Markets came back. In COVID, 2020, markets went down, right? Extreme uncertainty over unknowns, where these are unknown times that we're in, so there's still uncertainty, but that was on a worldwide global health scare, right? So that changed things there. What happened afterwards in 2021? The markets came back. So, you know, you have these ebbs and flows in the markets, and it really stinks to be able to have these things happening, because if you forgot to scrap, you know, a week ago because you were too busy, I'm sorry, that really sucks. You're probably not going to get as much money as you would. And now you're going to go and say, wait a second, last week wait a second, last month I was getting per pound more or per ton more. And that's why these are trading numbers, right? There's no crystal ball for us to predict what's going to happen. So we've had a sell recommendation all year long on metals, right? If you have it in, get it out. Steel, aluminum, brass, copper, carbide, cats, tungsten, anything you have, get it out. So hopefully many of you listen to us, but when I see markets passing different levels, right, it makes it really hard to not sell what you have. So hopefully many of you cashed in. Some people have asked me, Tom, what did you do when the market collapsed, right, in the last few days? Well, the way that I do business is I pre-sell things in advance, 5 to 6 days. So any material that I had was already sold. Any material that I was going to buy was also already sold. That didn't make me stop dropping my prices because of the uncertainty. And unfortunately, I've dropped my prices at Rockaway Recycling just to give you an inside view of what I'm thinking of as a scrapyard owner. My prices are lower than they should be based on today's market. But let me tell you the story of what I saw yesterday. Yesterday morning, the market opened up 12 cents, went up to $4.30. At the end of the day, it closed at 408. How can scrapyard owners deal with instability of 20-cent swings? And that doesn't count all the little ups and downs throughout the day, right? 10 up, 4 down, 3 up. How can you count for that when you're buying material and you're trying to make money? So you're going to see a couple of things right now in the markets. You're going to see a massive amount of uncertainty this month. I think April is going to be a very choppy month. You're going to see markets continuing to react to news, whether it's the first country that makes a tariff deal, you'll see a quick run up, right? Whether it's more tariff announcements, you might see more of a run down. The tariffs are going to disrupt the markets. And I haven't been asking a lot of people questions because when I started to ask them, no one had any answers because we're in uncharted territory, just like we were back in COVID, right? During COVID, when everyone was told to just stay home and lock the doors, how do you sell metals on a market like that? You can't, that's not in the training documents. Yes, we're going to make everyone stay at home and manufacturing has to stop. That's not in the scrapyard training documents. So it makes it hard to move. And it really has to be frustrating for you to be able to work so hard to get your scrap and not be able to put it anywhere. So what do I see happening? I see a 3-month period of instability with large ups and large downs, and then in between, still more movement than normal. I see scrap yards becoming less aggressive. I see scrappers becoming frustrated, and that's just going to be par with the course. By July, right? April, May, June, 3 more months. By July, we're going to be halfway through the year. But more importantly, we're going to be about 4.5 to 5 months into the new presidential term. And we're going to start to see markets reacting differently because there's a lot of talks out there about the tax cuts. You have a reconciliation bill. And I'm not here to talk about politics, but these are going to be things that have real market reactions on metal prices, that have real market reactions on inflationary numbers. And all of these things have to do with the prices. So it really is important to keep this in mind. So let's just jump into our ABCs. Aluminum, down about 10%. Do I see the markets increasing anytime soon on a stable level? No, I see that being 12 months out. I see choppiness for the balance of this year, but aluminum prices are still really high and they're higher than they were to start the year. I said copper kind of went up and down the same amount. Aluminum didn't. So that shows a really stable aluminum scrap market. I would continue to have aluminum as a sell item. I wouldn't be holding onto my aluminums. Let's look at brasses. Yellow brasses are averaging nationally $1.90 to $2.10 for yellow brass. So would I be holding them? Well, Probably not, but this is where you can refer to the many YouTube videos that we've made on how to upgrade your brass. So now may be a time where you don't like the prices because it was such a quick jolt. Now you go and look at some of the videos that we've made to teach you how to make more money with your brass. We have a question.
We have a question from one of our YouTube members.
Oh, great.
Brett.
Thank you very much for the membership. Hey, Breck.
He asked about, is chrome-plated brass still considered clean yellow brass?
Yeah, chrome-plated brass. Number one, Breck, thank you for being a YouTube member. For those of you that aren't members, please join today. Chrome-plated is still considered yellow brass. There won't be a downgrade. There won't be an upgrade, especially because it's yellow brass, but it's fine. And a similar question I was asked the other day was actually about silver-plated brass. So just to go off of your question, Breck, silver-plated brass is worth more money, but only when you have hundreds of pounds. And to give you an insight how to upgrade your brasses, I sell my silver-coated brass every 3 to 4 months. I only end up getting between 500 and 800 pounds, and that's little nibbles from lots and lots of customers over time. So chrome plated, continue to put into your yellow plate. Silver plated, if you can save 50 to 100 pounds, some scrap yards will upgrade you. Many scrap yards don't have enough flow to be able to upgrade you, so you'll mix those in. Great question. Thank you, Breck. So our brasses, relatively the same, but that's an area for you to be able to upgrade. Good money there to upgrade your brasses. Check out our YouTube videos for that. C, copper. Copper prices, I'm still happy with them. Yeah, sure, it stinks that they went down, right? But I thought a month or two ago that we were going to see copper go from 410 to 350. So the fact that it rose to 530 and we're back at like 410, 420 right now, that's great. I'm really happy with that. And anyone that wants to sit here and complain, you're welcome to your opinions. But when I look at things, I don't look at them day to day. I look at them month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year. So to see that we're in the same range that we were 3 months ago with everything that happened the last few days, I'm happy with the copper prices. I would continue to sell my copper as quickly as I get it in. Catalytic converters, the second C. Those markets, not as strong. As gold prices have gone to $3,100 an ounce and really risen in the last few months, that's because of multiple things: economic uncertainty, safe haven for investors to park cash when they pull it out of the markets. But the demand for gold isn't there. It's really more of a savings account right now that probably will go up but won't be affected as drastically as other money will. So, or excuse me, as other metals will. Unfortunately for catalytic converters, the increase in gold has not led to an increase in platinum, palladium, and rhodium. And we've actually seen some of the lowest prices that we've seen in about 6 months. We had a really nice stable streak, but catalytic converters have now increased and then decreased. We saw a nice run up in February. Unfortunately, those markets are down. Again, RRCats.com continuing to quote and buy cats from people, but we're not seeing a large increase in pricing, and investors and people are not parking their spare cash into platinum, palladium, and rhodium bars. So unfortunately, it has not become a safe haven like gold has. Last from the ABCC's S, right? The S, steel prices. I talked earlier about how steel prices were down on a trading level by 38%. That stinks, right? When we look at these numbers, all of the gains that we saw at the end of January into February, about 40 to 60 bucks a ton, those have been wiped away. We've seen all of those prices coming down. Again, I'm not going to recommend holding onto your steel. It's heavy, it's bulky, and the more you touch it, the less you make. I would consider steel a get it in, get it out item, and that wouldn't stop anytime soon. A question? Sure.
On some railroad.
Railroad. What's the scoop on railroad scrap, like spikes, plates, etc.? Can scrap yards buy it? I pick up a few here and there. Thank you, 68 Eric 86. Railroad scrap, if you're walking along the railroad and picking up pieces, you're not really supposed to do that. Okay, let's say that hypothetically you didn't do that and just had pieces of railroad scrap. You're not going to get a premium unless you have thousands and thousands of pounds. Railroad is a really good item to be able to sell for scrap, but if you don't have a lot of it, it's going to just end up going into your unprepared number one or your prepared number one pile. I wouldn't go too crazy from there. So hopefully that answers your question. Generally, railroad scrap, though, is a contracted thing from the railroad to a certain scrapyard. Another question.
We have another question from our member, Breck.
Breck, another question. Great. Can you give me a rundown on your prices for scrapping e-waste, i.e. motherboards, high, low grade, processors, and memory cards, please? Yeah, sure. So rockawayrecycling.com or rrprices.com have those on there. Our high grade boards can be around $1.50 to $2.50. Higher grade boards like server boards could be more than that. Low grade boards could be as low as 15 to 25 cents. And then, of course, there's all various levels in between. Memory is in the $15 to $25 range. CPU chips are in the $8 to $100 per pound range. And e-scrap is something where you need to accrue poundage, but we also offer free shipping for that. So if you're looking to sell your e-scrap to us or you don't have a good vendor, Breck, please reach out and get a quote from our team so we can give you some numbers and hopefully buy some scrap from you. Another question.
I have a few other questions.
Great, let's do it. Jesse says, any thoughts on how robotics will affect scrap prices? I'm betting on aluminum. You know, robotics are interesting because as the president talks about more factories and manufacturing facilities popping up in the country, we know that we're not going back to the 1930s, 1940s method of the assembly line like Ford perfected. We're going more towards robotic installations and builds. I do believe that aluminum will be needed because of the durability and the lightweight. I don't think that the amount of robotics are going to consume so much extra aluminum that it's going to cause a price increase. Hopefully that helps you, Jesse. Other questions?
Yeah.
Another one. Hunter asks, what % increase do you put on your material when you buy to when you sell? Hunter, I don't do a percentage. I do a price per pound or a price per ton. So I generally like to have one set margin. I know that that's going to cover my overhead, my profit. So I normally build it on a price per pound level. If I want to make 20 per ton and I'm selling it for 200, but my processing is 60, then maybe I buy it for 120. 200 minus 60 minus 20 for profit gives me a 120 number. So I do it on and that's not the numbers. That's just a basic example of math. That's how I do it. So I don't do it on a percentage level. If I did that, the lower the prices went, the smaller my profit percentage would be on a price per pound basis, which would affect my overhead. And as it goes higher, if copper prices go to $6, let's say I had a 10% margin. I went from, let's say $4 gives me 40 cents, $6 gives me 60 cents. That big extra 20-cent increase might lose business for me. So hopefully that answers your question. Anything else?
Yeah.
Another
T-Shaft
question.
has a question.
T. Shaft says, do you think scrap will follow the stock markets when they bounce back and go up? Thank you. Yes and no. Scrap is an industrial metal, right? An industrial component. Stocks are companies building growth, providing profits, servicing customers. So think about a company like Apple. Apple sells physical devices. Apple also sells cloud services. Apple also sells subscriptions to entertainment like music and videos. So a company like Apple is going to be affected by the tariffs on part of their hardware portion of their business, but their software, their computing, their cloud services are not going to be as heavily affected, other than users decreasing to save on budgets. So when the stock market starts to hear about positive tariff news, that's going to jump up. Copper might jump up as well, right? But it's not going to be on a proportionate level. If you hear about increases on manufacturing, or you hear about huge job growth numbers on construction, those are the things that are going to affect the metal prices more. And one thing I haven't talked about at all today is energy. Energy prices are at oil prices are at the lowest levels we've seen in 52 weeks. Almost daily, we've seen numbers creeping down. So when we see this, we may start to see energy coming down. I think that by Memorial Day, we're going to see regular gasoline averaging $2.50 a gallon, down from like $3 to $3.15 right now. So in 6 to 7 weeks, you're going to see energy prices coming down for oil and gas, diesel as well. That's going to decrease your transportation costs, which might just offset where the tariff increases are. But again, an offset right now in a resetting period is a win. So hopefully that answers your questions on those things. When I see some of these other markets right now, nickel, for instance, we're seeing nickel prices down 10%, which means your stainlesses are going to be affected. That really stinks. 304 stainless is going to be going down. I see markets going from, I believe last week we saw a 33-cent national average. I've lowered my price at Rockaway Recycling to 28 cents. I do see stainless prices coming down. The only metal I would consider holding right now, if you want any ideas, I would hold stainless. The prices are so low that it doesn't make sense. And I would have said this a week ago before all this tariff talk. They don't make sense, right? They're too artificially low, even with all of the added mining capacity, all of the added recycling, we're still at a very low level. And I think that needs to correct itself. So stainless is the only metal that I would end up holding. So scrappers, in the coming days, we're going to have another video coming out really addressing a lot of these tariff questions and concerns. And I'm going to do my best to answer them with the knowledge that I've received. But everyone I'm talking to doesn't have a lot of answers because this hasn't happened before. It's like COVID. Oh my gosh, when are the markets going to go up? When are we going to go back? I don't know. I just don't know. It's so hard to predict this. So we're going to watch these things closely, and hopefully next week when we have our report, a lot of the Q&As will come out on the tariffs, and that will give you a better idea on what we're learning and hopefully help you moving forward. So scrappers, my name is Tom Bushell from Rockaway Recycling and the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. Next week will be a pre-recorded video, but normally 1 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays we are live, and 2 weeks from today I'll be back here live with lots of market news. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and like our videos and pages on YouTube. And if you're looking for early access by becoming a YouTube member, you can get that. My name is Tom from Rockaway Recycling, the iScrap app, and until next week, I'll scrap you later.